Hello, it's me, Annie. Straight away, I will put the disclaimer that I'm not a professional photographer, but I do take a lot of photos, and I like the photos that I take of my miniatures. So I'm going to try and make this a quick one, just to show you how to make pretty nice looking photos with minimal equipment. The Jon Hodgson background book, of course. But yeah, just with your phone camera, nothing too fancy, just a few of the elements if you're really struggling. If you already know about photography, this might be a bit too basic, but I like it basic. So let's have a little look. So this is the photography area in the bad Squiddo zone. See all sorts of goodies around there. The most important part is this window here. So this is my, oh look, some of my clones. So this is one of the most important part. Well, that's the most important. But obviously I've built this and it's here for a reason. And I do all my product photography here. I quite like that. I can swirl this about. And all my little scenes I just do on the top of that there, that little IKEA unit. And you'll see there's a light there and a light there, but I barely use them. In fact, I've not used that light since I've built this. They're actually plant lights repurposed. Oh, another plant, amazing. There's a lot of plants around. This light I use very rarely for specific reasons and in the evenings and such, but that gives me all the light I need to project onto here. So let's get a bit closer. Here's the painted miniature that we're going to be using. You can see here that it's very clear, all the details of this beautiful miniature, and that's because the light is behind me, not behind the mini, behind me where I'm stood, because obviously I'm facing it. So I'm just going to show you, if I rotate, see how we lose the detail, and when there's light directly behind us it's appalling, although it looks kind of cool with our armour. But see, we turn around, and if I can squeeze my body we go all the way around. Whoop, there we are, focus on the mini. That's the full light. See, I like a little bit of the side because you get a little bit of shadow. I don't like them to be too bleached out. So all you need to do is just play about without even taking a photo and find the best spot. But I tend to find that sort of 45-degree behind you. So basically the lights, the light's coming in from here. So I've got my position here, and to be honest, if I was taking a photograph and I just wanted a plain miniature, that'd be perfect. And that is why I have this, white and this white. Sometimes I drape a little bit of white paper just out there, but that's it. That's basically it for taking just a photo as is. It's all about the positioning of the light and making sure you've got something stable. So I'm using a tripod here, but you can balance, I've balanced them on books and all sorts. You can just kind of mess about with it. The tripods, because I have very limited space, so things have to make themselves work. So there, I'll just, there we are. I just realised I did say with no gear, and I have a tripod with a little phone connector there. But this is very rare. I normally do just have them balanced. So something you can do, I don't have two phones to show you, is you can, if you lean your phone on a surface, so for example this is me leaning the phone on a surface, that gives you enough stability, and go around this side, it gives you enough stability to be able to take a good photograph, as long as it's leaning on something. That was me moving it, but yeah, that's steady enough for a photograph. So sometimes if I want a bit of a higher, sort of a higher up angle perhaps, I'll just find something, so yeah, a pack of cards or something stable enough that you can hold it like that for long enough that it won't blur. The most important, hey, slow around. The most important is to not use the flash. Don't use that flash. Unless you know what you do, unless you're knowing what you're doing with it. If you're taking a straight up picture, just don't use the flash. Apologies if things aren't optimal, because I'm doing this in one take. So if any of the time you think, hang on, that's not the perfect shot, it's just because I'm doing it in a wanna. So we've got the figure there, and we want to make it a bit more dynamic. So I have this book, ooh, by Jon Hodgson, and I will put that at the back. Normal people can lean this right up against a wall, but I've got a gap down the bottom, which is where I sometimes hang backdrops. So I've got a little lean-to. And then we just place that there. So already she's in a bit of a scene, and you see she's far away enough. There's a big hand there, but she's nice and sharp against that. You can put them right back. Obviously I'd move the camera, but if you go forward a bit, it increases that depth and there's a little bit of separation. At the moment though, you'll see that there's a line between the floor and the backdrop. Obviously if this was just a mat, there'd still be a line, and it's fine, but you kind of want it to look a bit more seamless and sort of break into it. So having something to elevate it helps a lot. So I'm going to use this in the next part. So this is a scratch built hill. It's made by my friend Charlie. I'm using it for the purposes of this. It's your standard hill. Another one I use a lot is this, which I made myself. Oh no, I didn't make it myself. I bought it a while back made, but then I've added all the flock and such to it. All the them little tufts. So it just gives them a bit of elevation, and you can see there that there's just something else in between. So I'll put it down now and we'll have a look. I'll be using Charlie's today. So in high-tech mode, we literally go bam, you whack it in front. See what I mean about that line? So that line now isn't totally straight. It's got the tufts breaking it up. You can then adjust your focus. So with a camera, you can usually press on a section and it'll give you the focus. See, like that and that. And we see how that backdrop then just fuzzies out. So let's get a mini on there. Again, very high tech. We just pop her on there. There you go. So what we got? We've got the book here, propped up tactically. Got the mini, and we've got a lump of terrain. It doesn't need to be this enormous, by the way. It can just be that little ledge. It's just that's what I've got to hand. And then the light coming in there. And then you just got to get your angle. So if you see, we look ahead, there's that floor gap. And as we come down, they sort of kiss. And then from there, it's pretty much, you just play about with it. So that there, I think is a perfect shot. If you do an under, she can look a bit more imposing. Remember, you can crop these out, so you don't need to worry about getting it edge to edge, because you can just crop it. So there, look, she's like a mighty standing over you. And depending on how you do the distance, you can see that the backdrop changes in its sharpness, that's the word. So we can also move this back. So if we wanted more of, oh yeah, so moving the light. If we wanted more of that angle, more of a downwards, especially if there was something here that we wanted to look at a bit more. But that's pretty much it. So here, I'm not using the tripod I've set up because I realised I was a liar. So I've actually got my arms rested on the top of the unit and my hands rested on one of those steps of the terrain, and that is still enough for me to take a photograph. And I'm using no light, just nature's light. Out there, look. Confirmed off. Confirmed off. And that's it. And then you can add as much or as little as you want. If you wanted to make it seamless, you could put some tufts. That's what I've got in here. Got a little selection of tufts and basing materials. And sometimes I like to cover the base up so it looks like a painting. But we all know they're miniatures, so photographing your miniatures doesn't matter if you see the base. But again, all personal preference. And look at that. See, there's another angle that fits it all in. And that's all I've done. And if you find that it's gone like this, all you need to do, depending on phones and stuff, all you do is you put your finger onto where the figure is. See, it's shaking now because I'm not resting. Because this is what happened. Oh, that's nice, actually. Haven't done that angle. This is the camera flat onto the table. Again, it's naturally focused towards the steps, but I press my finger onto her I've got my left hand holding it. My right hand just clicks on her. And then I'd crop that out. And how mighty and cool does she look? She's coming over the hill and she's going to get you. Here's another one I've just knocked up for you. As you can see, you're like, what? I do say as you can see a lot, sorry about that. On here, what? That's a human finger. There's a gap. But again, just think about the crop inside the picture. Because there is a perfect rectangle, there's a perfect square that you can cut out of that. And I'll show you. I'll probably put a link in the comments or something. So, do you want to see what it actually looks like? So this has got a bit more depth to it. So this is the allotment that's pre-made. Again, I've gone a bit fancier. There was a bit of a tree mishap there. So top down, look, we've got her in the digging. That is a tree that I knock over. And the lady at the back. But to give her a bit of lift, she's dodgily standing on some slaughter bases. So if I take her off there, I'll show you why she's on those. So put her there, we go back down here, and she's, because of the depth, she's kind of just peeping over a bit, which also looks fine, but I wanted to be more in the shot. So just by doing this, bonk, just see a bit more of her, and it's not enough to obscure anything. She's just on a different part of the hill, that's all. And again, I've clicked on that lady, but if I press onto her, if I wanted to make her the star of the show, I'd probably move it if I did. So again, this is all just an example of me messing about, how you should mess about. So maybe if I wanted her as the star behind it, I'd do something like that. Again, just play about with it. So there's a bunch of stuff, hopefully giving you some ideas. I really hope this has been useful for you. Again, the disclaimer, I'm a mere amateur. And it is very basic, but that's what I do. There are far better, far more advanced tutorials out there. It's just a little show of what I use. And if I had more kit, like a second camera, I could show my setup. I could show me taking the photo, but I think that's enough. The purpose of me doing this is to plug this, but you don't have to get it, but it helps. So 24 pages. So you saw one in there, look at this, whee. So turn around, whee. All these backdrops. So even the same setup and different backdrops can make all the difference and make your minis nicer. And I want to see your takes on some bad Squiddo figures with all sorts of different backdrops, as well as all different bits of terrain. So to prove you've watched this video and taken heed from it, you can do before and afters as well. So I like how I take minis. I want to know how you take minis, take photos of minis. And that's all. I don't want to go. See, as one can see, I've applied the lighting technique that I talked about minis to myself, because I want to light myself up in the best possible way. So I have the light is coming towards me here, but not direct because I'm over here. So it's giving that little bit there, because when stuff's a bit full on. So something else I wanted to add is you can be tempted when it's a really sunny day to go, oh, I'll take it right out in the sun. It's blaring, light is good, but too much light, it's going to bleach them out. It's going to make them look weird. You're going to go, I didn't paint it like this. And in the same way, imagine when someone takes a picture of you with a flash and you go, oh Lord. It's a bit like that. You've got the really heavy shadows, and it can be used for a specific purpose, but if you just want to document your painting on the miniature, it's best to avoid that really strong direct light, which is where I'm not really a fan of some of the light boxes and lamps that you can get, because I think they do bleach it out. And that problem you can have where you've painted some quite nice transitional, you know, blends, and then you put it onto the you put it into the camera and it looks like you've just kind of like hacked a big highlight on top of it. That's where the softer natural light, and it's definitely a recommendation that I've never really thought about, but to put, it doesn't have to be privacy screen, even if it's really bright anyway, just I don't know, large bit of tracing paper or something like that. The bonus to mine is that it's got little parts in it, which you might have seen when I showed little parts, and it makes rainbows. So I've discovered recently that about 8 o'clock it's the rainbow time, and it shines rainbows in. So I now know if I want to put rainbow glow onto my mini, I can do that. So most of all, the takeaway is to have fun. Have fun, but it is fun. Sometimes I get really angry at it, but if you're not in the mood, don't do it, because you'll just get annoyed at it. But when you've got time, clear a bit of space as well, so you're not tripping over yourself, because you will be improvising a lot of items. So like me using those slotters, I've just been looking around for something to raise it. One of the failures was a stack of post-it notes, because it was too glowy and large, but I could have cut a little bit out if I really wanted to. But have fun, and that's it. Just mess about with it. Don't worry about getting that one shot. It's a digital camera, you can take as long as you're not on a super, one of those ones with the big hoods or anything. You can take as many shots as you like, and I always do. I never take one shot and go, yep, that's it. I'll take a few different ones, and then when I put them on a computer, I can see what they actually look like, because stuff can look great on your little phone, and then whoop. And also, don't worry about the photo giving away any, what's it, injustices to the model, because they are 3 centimetres, assuming you're 28mm, or they're smaller or bigger, but they're small. And when they go on a computer screen, it makes them huge, and that's not how they're seen. So it's partly why I keep them back a bit in the photos rather than cropping them to be the full bit that then blares up on someone's screen. You know, the eyes that you've painted and thought were all right, and now covering someone's screen, and they're all going, oh no. That's the end point for this. So I hope you enjoyed Annie's very professional guide to photographing miniatures. You should definitely go and buy some Bad Squiddo miniatures to paint and then photograph. And you should check out this book. And if you see this post Kickstarter, they are available in the Bad Squiddo shop. Assuming the Kickstarter funded. If it didn't, then this is all very embarrassing. Look at that. Bam! And if it goes well, maybe some more. Thank you. Bye. P.S. Look at this new leaf. Mighty.